Rumors about Phil Mickelson's personal life finally breaking apart are everywhere right now. The internet is full of stories claiming his children confronted him together, letting decades of anger explode in a huge public fight. Golf fans are watching closely, waiting for the messy details to drop. Behind the loud headlines, the actual situation is much quieter and far more dangerous. Lefty is not arguing with his kids on camera, because he is simply gone. He pulled out of the Masters and stepped away from LIV golf events entirely. The official reason given was a family health matter, but that simple phrase hides a dark storm brewing behind closed doors. I believe a player choosing his family's well-being over his golf legacy is the right move, but do you agree a star should step away at this stage? Let me know your thoughts below. The golf course was his second home for 30 long years. Chasing trophies kept him away. Paying off heavy debts consumed his mind. His wife Amy and his 3 children watched him ignore endless warnings about his gambling habits. They saw his personal life slowly crack while he focused only on the game, creating a debt of time he could never repay. Most people assumed his wife and kids would just accept the chaos and move on. They had no idea what his children were actually planning to do when he finally walked through the front door. Outsiders think this is just another temporary break for the 6-time major champion. They are completely wrong about what waits for him inside that house. The betting markets actually paused when the news broke. Oddsmakers did not know how to price a player who just vanished without a medical report. Broadcasters had to scramble and fill airtime with old highlight reels. They kept showing his famous chip-ins at Augusta, trying to remind fans of the magic. But the magic was gone. The reality was a man dealing with a crisis that no wedge or putter could fix. His caddy was left standing on the practice range with no player to carry the bag. The tour officials were reportedly furious about the sudden schedule change. They had built the entire marketing campaign around his return to the major stage. Sponsors who paid millions for his likeness were suddenly in a panic. They did not know if they should pull their ads or wait it out. The tour's media partners were losing their minds over the empty broadcast slots. Reporters are camping outside his properties. Podcasts are guessing his mental state. Everyone wants to know if the greatest short game in history is now facing his toughest lie. To understand the current silence, we have to look back at the unauthorized biography released a few years ago. That book exposed the messy reality behind the closed doors of his mansion. Amy Mickelson admitted she had to constantly work around his massive gambling losses. She was not just a golf wife watching from the gallery. She was managing a financial black hole while raising 3 kids alone. The physical absence was just as damaging as the financial stress. Phil missed birthdays, school events, and simple family dinners because he was chasing another major or hiding from his debts. Amanda, Sophia, and Evan grew up watching their father chase a dangerous high on the golf course and in hidden betting rooms. Imagine being a teenager and seeing your dad lose millions of dollars in a single weekend. The kids did not just hear rumors about his betting habits. Living with the direct consequences of his obsession became their daily routine. His actual priorities rarely matched his public words, setting the stage for a much bigger collision. That collision almost happened when he made the shocking jump to the rival league. Leaving the PGA Tour was not just a business decision. It was a massive stress test for his entire family. The media circus that followed dragged his wife and children into a global spotlight they never asked for. Sponsors dropped him instantly. Lifelong friends in the golf world turned their backs. His kids had to watch their father be vilified on every sports network and social media platform. Complete isolation became their new reality. Cut off from the community they had known for 30 years, the isolation was absolute. Every golf fan was talking about his betrayal, and his family had to absorb that toxic energy daily. Setting hard boundaries meant establishing rules that Phil had never faced before. The financial rewards of the rival league were supposed to make up for the lost friendships. The guaranteed money was life-changing. It was supposed to secure his children's futures and pay off every single debt. But the kids did not want the money if it cost them their father's soul. They saw the toll it took on his physical health. They saw the sleepless nights. They saw a man who was completely disconnected from the reality of their everyday lives. The isolation was not just social, it was emotional. He was physically in the same house, but his mind was always on the next flight, the next press conference, the next bet. Former Ryder Cup teammates refused to return his calls. The very people he had shared beers with in the clubhouse were now crossing the street to avoid him. The kids saw this betrayal firsthand. They saw the text messages his dad would stare at and then put away. They knew the golf world had turned its back on him, and they hated seeing him hurt, even if his own choices caused it. They saw the comments online. They saw the late-night talk show jokes. The shame of his public image became their private burden. His children were no longer willing to just accept the chaos and move on. Serious conversations about his future and his behavior began happening behind closed doors. Inside the mansion, mental health became the central topic of every family meeting. Family members finally realized that his pursuit of financial security was actually destroying their peace, forcing them to draw a line in the sand. Drawing that line required immense courage from people who were used to staying quiet. Amy and the kids started asking questions he could not easily dodge. Questions about his ongoing gambling and sacrificed privacy dominated their discussions. Private demands for change were just the beginning, because a much darker public storm was about to hit them all. The rival league promised him hundreds of millions of dollars. It promised a chance to rewrite his financial mistakes. But the contract came with a heavy emotional tax. He had to play in events that his former peers refused to join. He had to defend a choice that alienated his biggest supporters. The pressure to perform under that microscope was crushing. His game suffered. His temper flared on the course. The Phil Mickelson, who used to charm crowds with a smile, was replaced by a frustrated competitor. His family watched this transformation with growing concern. The money was there, but the joy of the game was completely gone. Watching him lose his love for golf was painful, but they were about to discover an even bigger secret he was hiding. The physical toll of constant travel and media scrutiny was wearing him down. He looked tired. He looked older. The kids realized the game was literally draining his life force. Then came the sudden announcement that shocked the entire golf world. Phil Mickelson withdrew from the Masters. He pulled out of his scheduled LIV golf appearances. The official statement released to the press was brief and vague. It cited a family health matter requiring his immediate attention. Golf analysts scrambled to figure out what this meant. Was it a physical injury? Was it a minor illness? The truth was far more complex than a simple medical issue. The family health matter was a direct result of the accumulated stress from the past decade. The constant media attacks, the financial worries, and the emotional distance had taken a severe toll on the household. Someone in the family needed care, and that care required Phil to be fully present. For the first time in his adult life, he had to choose between a golf tournament and his family's well-being. He chose his family. He packed his bags and went home. The golf world was confused. Pundits argued about whether this was a permanent retirement or just a temporary pause. They debated his legacy and his future in the sport. They completely missed the point. This was not about golf. This was about survival. His sudden exit from the spotlight was not a retreat, but a forced intervention by the people who loved him most. Reporters tried to get quotes from his agents. They tried to contact his wife. The silence from the Mickelson camp was deafening. That silence was actually a protective shield. Behind those closed doors, the confrontation the internet was begging for finally happened. It did not happen on a live broadcast. It did not happen in a leaked audio clip. It happened in the quiet living room of his San Diego mansion. Amanda, Sophia, and Evan sat down with their parents. There was no yelling. There was no throwing things. The decades of anger did not explode in a fiery argument. Instead, it came out as a cold, hard, undeniable list of facts. The children laid out exactly what his absence had cost them. They talked about the missed milestones. They talked about the anxiety of his gambling debts. They talked about the shame of the LIV golf backlash. They spoke with a calm clarity that hit Phil harder than any angry scream could. This was the real explosion. It was the quiet, devastating realization that his children were deeply hurt by his choices. Amy sat beside him, supporting the kids completely. She did not defend him. She did not make excuses for his gambling or his golf obsession. She simply nodded at every point his children made. The unified front of his wife and kids left him with nowhere to hide. He could not charm his way out of this. He could not joke his way out of it. He was finally forced to look at the actual damage his career had caused the people sitting right in front of him. The kids did not just bring up the past. They brought up the present. They talked about the recent rumors and the constant media speculation. They explained how hard it was to go to school or work when their last name was trending for the wrong reasons. They told him that his legacy was not just about golf trophies. His legacy was also the example he set for them. For decades, he taught them to be resilient and to fight through adversity. Now, he needed to fight for his own family. He needed to show them that they were more important than any golf tournament. The silence in the room was a heavy burden. It was the weight of 30 years of unspoken truths finally being spoken out loud. Amy did not just sit there. She added her own perspective. She reminded him of the promises he made on their wedding day. She reminded him of the vows he took when they had their first child. She told him that the gambling and the golf obsession had almost broken their marriage. But she also told him that it was not too late to fix it. She looked him in the eye and told him that she still believed in him. That combination of tough love and unwavering support was the final push he needed. The room was completely silent after they finished speaking. The only sound was the ticking of a clock. Phil looked at his wife. He looked at his 3 grown children. He realized in that exact moment that he was losing them. If he went back to the golf tour, if he kept chasing the next paycheck or the next major, he would lose his family forever. The choice was no longer complicated. He stood up and told them he was done. He was done with the endless travel. He was done with the media circus. He was done letting golf dictate his life. That private conversation changed everything. The next morning, the withdrawal statements were sent to the press. The family health matter was the official reason, but the real reason was the intervention that happened the night before. Amy's role in this cannot be overstated. For years, she had been the buffer between Phil and his worst impulses. She had managed the debts. She had handled the media. But in that living room, she made it clear that her support had limits. Her unwavering love for him was real, but it was no longer unconditional if it meant sacrificing her children's mental health. She drew a final boundary. Phil had to be a present father and a healthy husband, or he could not be part of their daily lives. This new reality means the golf legend we knew is officially gone, replaced by a man trying to repair broken trust. He is no longer practicing for 8 hours a day. He is no longer flying on private jets to pro-ams. He is attending family dinners. He is going to therapy. Consider the sheer magnitude of this shift. For 3 decades, his schedule was dictated by tournament coordinators, flight itineraries, and sponsor obligations. Every single day was mapped out in 15-minute increments. Now, his calendar is completely blank. He is taking his daughter to the grocery store without a camera crew following him. He is helping his son fix a leaky faucet in the garage. These mundane tasks are the exact things he sacrificed for 20 birdie putts. The golf media is currently obsessed with analyzing his swing changes and debating his Hall of Fame chances. They are completely missing the real story unfolding in San Diego. The real story is a father learning how to be present without a golf club in his hands. It is a man realizing that his legacy is not written in the record books, but in the memories of the people sitting across from him at the breakfast table. The pressure to perform is gone, replaced by the quiet reward of simply being there. He is finally discovering what it feels like to just exist in the same room as his family without mentally calculating his next tee time. The transition from global sports icon to present family man is not easy, but it is necessary. Golf fans will always remember his incredible short game. They will remember the miraculous shots at major championships. They will remember the thrilling rivalries, but his most important victory will not be found in a trophy case. It will be found in the quiet moments at home with his wife and kids. He finally realized that the ultimate prize was not another green jacket. The ultimate prize was keeping his family together. The transition is not just about staying home. It is about completely changing his daily routine. He is no longer waking up at dawn to hit balls in the dark. He is no longer spending hours in the gym trying to recover from endless travel. He is spending that time sitting at the kitchen table. He is listening to his wife. He is asking his kids about their days. The golf world will eventually move on. New stars will emerge. The tour will find new faces to put on the posters. But for the Mickelson family, this is a new beginning. The debt of time he owed them is finally being paid back. It is being paid back in quiet moments, in shared meals, and in simple presence. He is no longer checking his phone for golf scores. He is no longer worrying about his world ranking or his FedEx Cup points. The stress of the tour is completely gone. In its place is a sense of peace that he has not felt since he was a teenager. He is finally playing the long game. And this time, the prize is not a crystal trophy. The prize is a healthy, happy family. The internet wanted a messy public fight. They wanted drama and screaming matches. What they got was a mature, private decision to put family first. That is a story worth respecting. If you appreciate honest golf stories without the corporate spin, hit that subscribe button right now to join our growing community. We will keep bringing you the real facts behind the headlines. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.